Welcome back. It's First and Now, the official BC Lions podcast, a presentation of Tourism Kamloops. Your springtime playground is calling. The trails are ready, the fish are biting, and our patios will be buzzing with anticipation. Grab your gear, call your friends, because Kamloops is calling. In the last week or so, Nick, plenty of stuff to break down, plenty of excitement. The vibes are good right now. We have a good guest sitting down here in about 10 or 15 minutes too that we'll do a deep dive on, but feels good. 50 Cent Concert Kickoff was a great day here on Monday.
Yeah, he didn't bury the lead, because that's definitely what's got the CFL market buzzing right now, and it had us buzzing too. If you're listening to this podcast, you've probably seen the video of our players reacting to it on the field yesterday, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out on our socials, because it's totally popping off. TSN, Much Music, I've shared it, everything like that. So, but 50 Cent is our home opener concert, our concert kickoff. 50 Cent, it's going to be surreal. I'm just blessed that I have the opportunity to film him. That's going to be a super cool experience. Never mind hear it. I'm so excited to see 50 Cent in my frame at the concert kickoff. Packed BC Place. There's already more upper bowl sections opening. It's going to be a time.
Yeah, thousands upon thousands of tickets have been sold in the last 24, 28 hours whenever the announcement was. And I think we can declare it is going to be our biggest concert kickoff attendance.
Well, we just get bigger and bigger, yeah.
One Republic had 34,000. I think just over 32 we announced for LL Cool J. Very good crowds. But yeah, I'm jacked for this. This is right in my wheelhouse. 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying CD was the first credit card purchase I ever made. I got my first credit card at age 19. Oh, let's go to HMV. Let's go to the music store. For some young people listening, saying, "What the heck are you talking about?" And
well, when I was downloading music on iTunes back in my teenager elementary days, I think I was downloading, or you had to purchase them, right?
Your iPod Nano or whatever it is
you had to purchase songs. I remember it was like $1.29, so I think I was purchasing like Disco Inferno. My parents' money went to good use there to listen to some 50 Cent. But I mean, we had the privilege of we signed NDAs before we know this, so that's why none of this leaks or anything like that. But we obviously have to prepare our creative, prepare your releases for all of this.
That was Sunday
announcement, right?
Yeah.
So when I first get told of the concert kickoff announcement, who it is, 50 Cent, then the next step is, okay, now we have to make a video with them. We have these approved tracks to use. And even before that, Carolyn Cody asks me, what songs would you like? And I'm like, geez, like, I don't even know where to start. Like, obviously Into Club, but then there's PIMP, and there's just a little bit was one to be used, obviously Candy Shop. Like, you could just go on and on and on. And even Liam and I in our dorm yesterday, we're literally just going back and forth and being like, How We Do is going to be super cool, or like Window Shopper is going to be amazing. So there's so many songs. I think the beauty of this too is it's an extended concert. That's one of my favorite parts about it. I think it's kind of a slept on aspect of the concert kickoff. It's a longer concert. It's longer than the halftime show, or a typical halftime show, right? So it's going to be.
Well, LL Cool J last year, was
similar.
It was like going to a regular show. It's not just a 2 or 3 song set. Like, we love Green Day at halftime, but you only get 4 songs. One of them, of course, is a new track from a new album, but it was great. But you want more. You always want more. And hey, get your tickets while there's some good ones there. BCLions.com. Tickets start at $25. Youth 17 and under, $15. Find me a better deal in town. And yeah, it was good. And of course, you captured quite nicely Coach Rick telling the players, stop practice. Stephen Chang hit the track in the DJ booth upstairs, and the players are loving it. So this is good karma. This is good motivation as we get ready to start a new season.
Yeah, and it's all business too, right? I know a couple of guys are joking about sneaking out, but they got a football game to play too, and it's a real football game. It's against Calgary Stampeders. It's always been hostile between these two teams recently. Obviously, they just beat us in the preseason again. So, although it's preseason, you do want to get a little revenge factor. I think that's useful for a little motivation going into this game. The precedent's been set high too with the two past concert kickoffs. Obviously, 2 years ago, I think we had like 40 points at the half, and then last year with the shutouts. So
59-15
for
final
the football
2
fans
years ago.
too,
yeah.
You're usually in for a treat in this game. It's a great atmosphere. It's 4:00 on a Saturday. I want to use the word perfect to describe this.
Now, and I understand the weather back in Vancouver has been subpar, so hopefully by the middle of June, it's summer, it's nice, and the roof's open. The backyard party's going to start at 10:30 a.m. We're going to do a little pre-drinking, I think.
A little darty, yeah?
Yeah, a little Molson Coors, a little White Claw. Maybe? Just
well,
maybe.
I'm not. If
Probably
you see me though with my camera, give me a little cheers with your beverage.
I'll crack open a Coors Light at our staff banquet after the game. How's that? So,
victory beer sounds good to me.
Very exciting. Did we mention there's a lot happening right now? Well, we're going to find out next week the halftime performer for the 111th Grey Cup in Vancouver.
Ooh.
And it's our perfect time. People are going to love this one too, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there, okay? Grey Cup tickets go on sale June 4th. That is next Tuesday. A promo code. We got a pre-sale for you. For the Cup. That's all one word. Head to bclions.com. Head to the Grey Cup Festival social media accounts. It'll link you all there. So we've got Grey Cup pre-sales and going to be a great event in the city of Vancouver. Now, we're not going to talk too much about Grey Cup yet because it's just another year. It's an important year, but the goal every year is to win it. And I don't know how much of a deep dive we really want to do on a preseason loss in Calgary. It was nice to get back into a road game environment. Calgary, always fun. I always like working at McMahon Stadium, as do you. What was your biggest takeaway from the loss in Calgary? I was encouraged by Chase Bryce.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Over 100 yards passing, extended one drive with his feet. The Lions couldn't find the end zone, but that's just the nature of it. It was a rookie/young person laden lineup. Calgary had a bunch of veterans on both sides of the ball, but a couple good performances to highlight.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit of a different route when it comes to my biggest takeaway, and that would be that no one's really panicking. The coaches, I've talked to a couple of players about what they got in terms of messaging from the coaches, and what they received was that, yeah, we wanted to evaluate our second and third stringers, our first year players, and we understood that it was going against Calgary's ones, and it was going to be a kind of an uphill battle in that aspect, right? But they got good evaluation, and then, like you said, in terms of actually naming some people who had some decent or worthy performances. Chase Bryce comes to mind, 10 of 16. Had put together a couple nice drives in the fourth quarter there, and that's his first game action in like 2-ish years. Don't forget that. So he was happy to get out. I thought Ed Lee looked good again. He led the team with 52 yards receiving. Ed Lee was also another player who had a really nice day at our Fan Fest scrimmage. So he's someone who's at least shown when it gets real in a game-like scenario, he comes to play. Jordan Perryman had 2 tackles for a loss at the cornerback position. He's been getting some reps with the ones this week too, so that's good to see. There's obviously that missing spot in the secondary that's still up for grabs, right, as we head into this final couple of days of training camp. What about Kyle Meyer? 2 of 2 on field goals.
Big time, yeah.
Global draft pick, 47.3 yards per punt. He was booming the ball. He's been booming in all training camp. His leg is ridiculously big, so yeah, good to see him.
Carl Meyer, yeah, and that's an interesting case, right? He certainly earned himself a case to be around in a PR role. Doesn't hurt to have another kicker hanging around. And I don't know if this team is going to keep a third global. I don't know what the situation is, but yeah, believe me, there's been some hits or misses in this global draft the last few years. Carl Meyer has lived up to his billing, and I agree. We talked to Ryan Phillips in our training camp report the other day, and we asked him about Jordan Perryman, and you couldn't take the smile off his face. He knows a good young DB when he sees one, and for fans coming to the preseason game Friday against the Edmonton Elks, Perryman number 27 on your roster and depth chart is the one to watch for. And did you mention Francis Bemy Jr.? He
broke a drive up. He had back-to-back plays.
There's so many names to go over here. Had a big sack, and I'm always intrigued by these second years coming back, seeing how much they've grown. Sirman Bagiogo in the defensive secondary, another example of a guy who's probably going to get a longer look this year. So, yeah, it sucks to lose. It wasn't the most enjoyable game to sort of watch and cover for the website and social media, but it's a necessary evaluation tool, and Rick Campbell pretty much said as much in his post-game interview with us and in his subsequent media duties that he's done. A couple minutes from now, we're going to hear from a very intriguing Lion newcomer, long snapper Kyle Nelson. Look forward to getting some details on
that.
Well, we got to find out. He was a San Francisco 49er for 89 games from 2014 to 2020. So played in Super Bowl 54 against Kansas City. Gonna find out what happened at the end of that one. I'm interested to hear his thoughts.
So I'll just go take a walk into these mountains.
Yeah, you're good. You can go grab a Coors Light somewhere and come back, okay? And
we're still editing our up tonight. We're busy guys this time of year, so
yeah, it might be our last night here, but
grind don't stop.
Some other some special announcements coming in the coming days. Stay tuned.
Yeah, they never stop.
Yeah.
But yeah,
some broadcast related stuff we're excited about, but we're not going to talk about that now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like you said, we're at Kamloops tomorrow. A couple of last practices this week. It's nice to see Christian Covington practicing this week. Alex Hollins is also back. Looks like his normal self. Caught like an 80-yard touchdown today in team session on a nice little corner route.
That was a beautiful ball. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's in mid-season form already. So nice to see these guys back, and we expect to see a lot of these guys on Friday against Edmonton too, right?
Yeah, I expect the full starting lineup to be out there. How long they play, we shall see. I would guess Vernon Adams gets the first half, and then maybe Mr. Dolagala and Mr. Bryce get a quarter each. I would think. It's not set in stone. There's these home preseason games. There's always a point where you don't go to the starting lineup, and I'm curious to see what the Elks do. I'm guessing they go younger because they had their home game already. But 7 o'clock, Save on Foods Field.
For those who forget, too, VA went 12 of 12 for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns in his last year's preseason week 2 game. So no pressure, VA, but you've set the standard literally as high as possible. So
yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, Christian Covington can make his debut. I'm excited to see Peter Robertson in the black and orange, Deontay Evans, Will Stanback. Like there's all these names. I know it's preseason and maybe not the biggest incentive to come, and it's not like the for real, obviously in the standings, but I mean, Lions fans should be excited just to see these new names in their orange and black.
Yep. And again, it's always a special element when all this off season, all this scouting and evaluation comes together in camp, and now we're going to have a second preseason game to go off. So final couple days here in Kamloops. Always great to be in the tournament capital. A shout out to our podcast partner of Tourism Kamloops, Sun Peaks Resort, the other title sponsor of training camp. Had a good luncheon with all of our training camp sponsors today down at the Sandman Hotel. Always good to put some names to faces and to thank those who do such a great job in supporting us. What is a 10-year NFL veteran long snapper doing here? He's great. I think he's grateful to be here. You're going to be surprised to hear just how special the CFL is in his heart. We'll speak with Kyle Nelson coming up on First and Now. First and Now is a presentation of Tourism Kamloops. The patios are calling. After a day filled with adventure, there's no better way to unwind than on one of Kamloops' sunny patios. Our locally owned eateries and cozy coffee shops serve up more than just delicious bites and sips. They offer a taste of our homegrown hospitality. So, what are you waiting for? Might have to find a patio tonight. It's our last night in Kamloops, but we'll save that discussion for another day. It is our great honor now to welcome in BC Lions long snapper Kyle Nelson, and we'll get into it. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. I
might just sit back and let you guys talk 49ers.
We got some stuff. We got to get to the bottom of a couple things here, but no. All kidding aside, Kyle, it's great to have you with the squad, and
great to be here. Thank you.
Great to be here. Yeah. Well, what are your impressions of Kamloops? We're pretty much done, but guessing you hadn't been here before. Overall, what's camp been like?
It's been great. All the guys have been great. I mean, the accommodations that we've had here is awesome. Honestly, I'd probably prefer to do camp like this from now on. Instead of being stuck in a hotel room, you kind of get a little bit of walk around. You get to, see this beautiful area. So what's not to like? So
going by your time with the 49ers is where you've spent the majority of your career. 49ers just do it in Santa Clara, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
that has to be a different environment. It's like you're practicing at home.
Yeah. When we do camp out there, we stay at the team hotel with little buses, or if you have your car, you go to the facility, which is at the stadium. Your locker room is your game locker room, and the practice field is just behind or just next to the weight room, which is only like maybe 150 yards walk.
It's all in one spot. Yeah.
All in one spot.
So back to BC here. What are some of your takeaways been just on the team in general and the routine, the coaches, everything?
It's great. Coach Campbell runs a really great camp. The schedule is amazing. You get quality work in, and then you get quality time with yourself to also like recover and study film and prepare yourself for the next day. Like you get everything you need here.
When it comes to the actual team, have you discovered the For the Culture phrase yet? And what do you see about this team when you think about the culture?
I've seen it. I don't know. Like I'm curious to see what it means. I've seen it on the shirts and stuff, but without knowing any of that, the culture that's here and that's built here, that's building, it's an amazing culture. You can definitely tell this team and the whole organization is on the right track and is, right there. You can really feel it.
We can fill him in, right? So last year we had a player here who came toward the end of camp. Was a guy we're very excited about, and no hard feelings at all. Things happen for a reason, but didn't last very long. And on the way out, he kind of took a shot at the team's culture and a lot of the veterans. So it was Mackey who spearheaded it. It was like the likes of Mackey. Was it Lucky Whitehead?
I would say the whole D-line too. Yeah,
they kind of took that to heart and say, hey, the culture here is awesome. So that's where the For the Culture phrase came from.
I think Mackey just broke it down one day and they were like, yeah, this is gonna stick.
It fits. Yeah.
But I guess we'll rewind a little further back. So how did you come to BC? How did that whole journey take place?
Well, I am dual citizen, so I've always loved the CFL game. With my grandfather playing, my dad playing and coaching, I've probably watched more CFL games than I've played NFL games. So like the CFL just holds a special place in my heart. I love the game. It's just exciting. It's an amazing game. I'm just happy to be here. I really am. This is a great team, great organization.
So were you just watching it as like a complete fan of all 9 teams, or did you have any preferences? Or
it was always a preference of where my dad was, but I would watch any game. I had no preference. Obviously, root for the team wherever my dad's coaching, but man, if it was on, I'm tuning in. I'm watching it. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't care who was playing. If I saw a game on, I'm watching it.
So what's like the scouting report on the BC Lions right now? Because I mean, we can talk about it. We've been to the two last West finals. Obviously came up short to Winnipeg both years, and that's got to be the goal, right? To get over Winnipeg. But what do you see with this team, and what do you think it's going to take to get over that hump and get to the Grey Cup?
I think this team's right there. I think, a big thing that's both, I think, in the NFL and the CFL is like, I think Coach Campbell's hit on this a few times is availability. Like how healthy can we be? Who's going to be the healthiest going into like the Western, the Western finals, and then who's going to be the healthiest going into Grey Cup? I think if you got your best players out there and everybody's healthy, nobody can beat you.
Yep. And we've certainly been knocking on the door. So, yeah, long snapping is your specialty. We're around it. We see how important it is. What do you say to people who might not understand just what goes into it and how crucial it is to having a solid special teams unit? Because it's one of the things the average fan watching takes field goal kicking for granted. And, how could you miss? But it has to be done right, right?
It has to be done right. And, it starts with the snap, and then it goes to the hold with Flint, and then it goes to the kick with Whitey. And, we have a great group that, I'm still learning, with these guys and everything that, I know that they've got my back. If I don't give Flint a great ball, I know he's got my back. He's got, I will quote him, he's probably got the best hands on the team. But but I trust him that he's going to get it down regardless. And then, you know, I trust Whitey that he's going to kick it. You know, if it's there, he's going to kick it and he's going to make it, you know, and we all have each other's backs for that. And you can tell that culture just there is obviously throughout the whole team. Everybody's got each other's back. Everybody trusts everybody. You know, if something bad happens, you know, it doesn't go our way, but, you know, we forget about it, move on to the next one and keep going.
So I think it's safe to assume too, given all the CFL you said you've been watching in past series, you've obviously know who Sean White is, know Stephen Flintoff, like Vernon Adams Jr. I'm sure you obviously know going into this camp. So was there any like kind of surprising interactions or like personalities that you got to see on TV, and then once you get to meet them, they're a little different, or what did that whole process go like?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm really surprised how, like, this might be the Canadians up here or something, but just how nice everybody is.
Yeah.
And I think that also speaks to the culture that nobody's above anybody else here. I don't get that feeling at all. You can go and talk to anybody and everybody's on the same level. Doesn't matter who you are, what position you play, where you sit on the depth chart. Everybody's right there. Everybody's got an even playing field. Mm-hmm. I think that's really cool.
What about actually playing the CFL game? Were there any surprises that you thought maybe you didn't expect to feel in training camp or even in the preseason game on Calgary?
Special teams comes up quick, and it comes up a lot. Like, you see it on TV and you're like, oh yeah, special teams. Cause that's how I was like, oh yeah, special teams up. And then kind of like when you're playing, you're like, special teams is up. You get back, special teams is up, get back, special teams is up. Whether that's for our team or the opposing team, it's truly a third of the game. And that's what's really cool about it.
I echo that too, because on Saturday, like I'm watching first down, and then you hear the play, and then you hear Bowman yelling, "Punt team ready, punt team ready." It's like
punt alert, second and long.
Yeah, offense just got out there, but yeah, it's crazy. So like you mentioned too, you qualify as a national after spending your childhood in Canada, following your dad. So can you just talk about your childhood and where it took place and all of that?
Mostly in Edmonton. We lived out in Ardrossan. Grew up playing hockey. I didn't even really touch a football until like high school, like later on in high school. Mm-hmm. Grew up playing hockey, and then we moved down to the States, and we went from Canada to Georgia, and there was no ice in Georgia. So I picked up soccer, and, you know, it's, you know, my dad just kind of pushed sports with me. My younger brother's actually the athlete of our family. And with my dad, he pushed football with him. Then my little brother got into rugby, and then I realized I wasn't going to be very good at soccer. So my dad was like, "Why don't you try to be a snapper? Why don't you play some football or something?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll try that." And then I didn't want to be a snapper at the beginning, and then you know, I started working at it, getting better with it. Found a snapping coach out in Arizona with Ben Bernard, and once I got a scholarship, I liked it a lot. Then I was like, realized that, oh man, I could play and, you know, make some money doing this. I'm gonna love this, and still trying to do it.
Over a decade later, yeah. Back to the family aspect of it. You mentioned your grandfather, Roger Nelson, 13-year player with the Edmonton franchise, 2-time Grey Cup champion. I think he's in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and he's on the Edmonton's Wall of Honor, I think they call it, and they're celebrating their 75th anniversary this year too. So that'll be kind of special when we go there, I think in August. And then of course Mark, your father, was with us 2 years ago here as a guest coach, so we got to know him a little bit. So it's safe to say, due to your bloodlines, you were exposed to the Canadian game from a young age, and they were great influences on you. Oh yeah, and again, it goes back to like this. This has always kind of like felt like this league has always kind of felt like home. It always kind of felt like, you know, I definitely wanted to be here. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity and to be on this team. It's an amazing team. It really is.
Well, I was going to follow up too. When you're playing hockey growing up, were you a big Oilers guy? And are you still a big Oilers guy with the run they're on right now? I was an Oilers guy, but you know, with my wife being from Calgary, I've now adopted the Flames. No. So that might be controversial. Yeah.
But you know, I will cheer. You know, hometown team, I'll cheer for the Canucks. You know, I just, you know, just good hockey, just anything to watch. I'm all about it.
Were the Atlanta Thrashers around when you were in Georgia yet?
I don't think so.
Oh, so
we were down in Valdosta, so we were like right there on the border of.
Okay, yeah.
Georgia and Florida.
So back Oilers growing up, so would have been like Ryan Smith, Mike Comrie,
Wayne Gretzky.
Gretzky. Okay,
Tail end of Gretzky. Yeah.
I'm a little older than you think.
yeah. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you would have been if it was late '80s, early '90s. Yeah, so you would have had like Adam Graves and Bill Ranford.
I think so.
Oh yeah. Canuck killer Bill Ranford always played well against the Canucks.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, you weren't born yet. So.
But transitioning to your NFL career, this might surprise some fans who don't exactly know your story, but right on the spot, can you list every NFL team you've been a part of?
Oh, crap. I can give you the active ones, but if I try to go through all of them in order, it would be New Orleans, Kansas City, Philly, Washington, Seattle, San Fran, Seattle. A few teams I went 3 trips with, or 2 trips. Was it Seattle, San Fran? I got cut again. I came back to San Fran.
Should have had this in front of me.
There is one in 2021. You dressed in one game in 2021 with the Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts.
Did you
yes.
not? Yes.
Yeah. And Colts. Yes.
But that's pretty good. Yeah, I think you pretty much had it because 3 stints with San Francisco, maybe a couple with Seattle as well, and Washington. So would it have been in Washington where you first connected with Kyle Shanahan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into all the 49ers stuff here in a minute, but
I'll take a lap. Yeah.
Yeah, go out and get a coffee or something. But obviously, Kyle, still going strong. I've been knocking on the door for a few years. But how did that relationship start? Did they sign you and it kind of go from there, or how did that start?
In Washington?
Washington.
So in Washington, I filled in for the snapper there, Nick Sundberg, who broke his arm. Is actually one of my buddies that I've trained with in the offseason for many years. And came in there, filled in for him for the rest of the season. And then when the season was over, the whole staff got let go. And before the staff got let go, I was told that, like, hey, we'll let you go because Nick's our guy. And then it didn't happen. And I think I got released finally in the off season, like 2 days before camp reported. And my agent said he got some calls that, like, hey, these teams are interested, but they want to at least give their other guys or young guys a chance, at least in a preseason game, then they'll bring you in. I'm like, oh, okay. And then a few days later, I think I get a call from San Fran, and then I just never left. That was when Harbaugh was there.
So 2014 to 2020, I think 89 games, you were the team's primary long snapper. And it's funny how it all comes full circle because Kyle Shanahan ends up getting hired there in 2017. So 2019, I can't remember. I don't think the expectations were sky high going into that year, but take us through some of your snapshots, some of your memories of that year, being part of just a special team that almost got it done.
Well, I'll actually kind of go to the year prior, kind of when Shanahan was there, I think his first year, where, I think we set an NFL record within like the first 5 games. We lost 5 games within like 3 points.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's obviously not a record that you're proud of or anything, but I will say, like, our record didn't show what our locker room was like.
Yeah.
Because guys would come in every day, like, ready to work, ready to play. Like, you wouldn't know a day or so after a game that if we had won or lost, because everybody was always ready to go. And then you kind of fast forward to that year, and you have just a group of guys in that locker room that everybody's kind of got each other's backs. That I see a very good correlation between that year and this team here.
Yeah.
And everybody's here to have fun, work hard, and just put it all out there every day.
Fast forwarding to Super Bowl week 2019 in Miami, Niners Chiefs round 1, as it's known now.
Yeah.
Just being part of that environment, Super Bowl, it's Miami, it's, you're fully entrenched in football, but what was that all like? Just being part of that circus all week long.
That's a good way to put it. It was a circus. It didn't, the whole week kind of leading up to it, it didn't feel like football. All these little extra things you had to do, all this, the media stuff, the photos, the media row or whatever that they do. And kind of all the attention that, it's only these two teams playing this one day, this last week of the year. But then when you actually get into the stadium at the day of the Super Bowl, it honestly just felt like a normal game. Like I didn't even think that we were the only two teams playing that day. It kind of felt like, oh, everybody else is playing. It felt like a normal game, which was really cool. And I think the coaches did a great job of kind of, for everything that was going on once the game clock started, that it felt like a normal game.
Your dad has told me a great story about how, don't have to remind you, Niners led 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and I think it was the Tarvarius Moore interception, the second interception, and all the defense ran to the end zone to celebrate and do the big end zone celebration. Did it too soon, as it turned out. But Mark told me that if you look closely in some of those photos in the opposite corner, you can see a Canadian flag, and that was your dad and his girlfriend,
Yes.
I think he told me. So safe to say you were aware of that?
Yeah, I knew exactly where they were all sitting for the game, and it was just great to like have my family stuff. It's always hard during season to kind of get my family together and stuff for games because either my dad's coaching or my mom's in Oklahoma, or sometimes my wife is the only one that can make it, and which is great. But it's always great to kind of get everybody's family there. Like my wife's parents and stuff will come to games, and if I can get my parents and stuff to come too, that's always great.
And then obviously did not end the way you wanted it.
No.
How much do you
not the way for you wanted it either.
No, for those that aren't aware, yes, lifelong 49ers diehard, still waiting for number 6. It's been a long time. I was just a kid when the last one happened.
They'll get it. They'll get it eventually. They're going to get it.
A couple more cracks, I think, at least. But I mean, how surreal was that? Just the way that game turned in the fourth quarter, and we know Patrick Mahomes is never down and out, but
never. That
must have just been like, how do you explain that?
I don't know. It was just one of those things that you're kind of watching and you were like, no way it's going to happen. No, really? No. And those script writers were mean.
Oh yeah.
Well,
they were mean. They
just
didn't
like
tell
they
us
were
about
a few months ago.
I was going to say, not to pile on, but like, where did you watch the game this February? Did you have the kind of that same feeling when the Chiefs are coming back?
I honestly, like, I low key was like, as soon as it kind of started, I was like, they're gonna do it again.
Can't let them hang around.
Nope. And then when the overtime stuff hit, I'm like, they're gonna move the ball, kick a field goal, and then
hang on for dear life.
Yeah, but you can't give Mahomes the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, that.
I'm sorry. You can. I mean, he's going to get the ball, but you can't count him out ever.
I'm
special.
I'm with you. The Niners had a chance to really take control of that game in the third quarter, and I mean, to think that they allowed one regulation time touchdown to Patrick Mahomes and it came off a muffed punt.
Yeah.
And lost the game. That's for those guys. I know you still talk to George Kittle and a bunch of those guys. For those that have been there for both of the losses, I would say this is the one that they're really gonna, if they don't get it done. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think one loss makes another one feel any better.
Correct.
It's still, I think they still suck. It's just that feeling just sucks. But I know those guys there, and I know that they've, not forgotten about it, but they're kind of using it. And I think that's something that we can also do here. And I think you kind of feel it here too, is that like guys are using that. Like this team's been close. Mm-hmm. I think guys are using it where it's, hey, we're going to get there again. And this time it's going to be us holding the trophy.
On that topic of staying in touch with some of the guys, I think one of the remarkable stories in the NFL the last couple of years has been Brock Purdy, because being Mr. Irrelevant and then climbing up the ranks and becoming a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. Were some of the guys telling you, like, we got a guy in Brock? I know he's a 7th rounder, but like he's going to be a guy for us for.
I heard from some of the guys and people out in Santa Clara that hey, he's him. He's got that dog in him. So I heard he was pretty special when he kind of first got there, and I think they just got not just really lucky, but I think their scouting department did a really good job of, kind of finding him and then putting him in the best possible situation to succeed. And, with the coaches and stuff there, they probably really helped him. They just took his game, which is obviously great because he was drafted and, he played great there, and then they just keep elevating him. And then from what I've heard, he's a really hard worker too. So
that's the key, coaching too, right? And yeah.
It does go hand in hand. So, but it's a lot easier to coach good players than bad players. I think my dad says that a lot.
Yeah. So. But very quickly, this is still going to a Lions podcast. Don't worry to those listening out there. But the thing people might not appreciate about Brock, they might just dismiss, he was the last pick in the draft. But this was a guy who was a star high school player in Arizona, was a starter from day one at Iowa State. He's been there. He's been in the limelight. He's faced the pressure. Mm-hmm. And now the only difference is you're just doing it in the biggest stage. So, yeah.
Well, you do have quite an impressive list just by going to different NFL teams of different quarterbacks you've been able to be around a bit. Like I was just listing a few, like Drew Brees in New Orleans, Mike Vick in Philly, Russell Wilson, RG3. And I know like some of these teams you were literally there for 1 week, but did you get to interact with any of these kind of franchise quarterbacks?
Some of the guys and stuff here and there. I think the first pass I ever caught in a camp in New Orleans was actually from Drew Brees. It was like an individual in like Indy period. And I was like, I don't think I want to give this ball away. I think I wanted to hang on to it. But yeah, no, I've been very fortunate being on great teams with, great players and stuff. I've been pretty fortunate.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious to hear your answer to, you were literally on teams for 1 week. So what were teams or organizations telling you when you were joining them and then they were releasing you like a week later? Like what was that whole interaction like?
I mean, it's not fun, but like usually whenever you go to a team, you're not going there with the intent of, I'm only going to be here for a few days. But you're kind of going there and a lot of times it's not your fault either. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is because football is a numbers game. It is a business first and foremost, but it is a numbers game. I'll use an example with the Rams. I was brought there to kind of compete a little bit with their guy during the year, and they brought me in. I think it was on a Wednesday or Thursday, and they were playing the Panthers, and I think they had a few injuries on the O-line or D-line, and I just already kind of knew, like just with numbers, like, oh man, like I may not be here next week, just because they need to bring guys in. So a lot of times it's not, it's not because something the player did. I wish I want that to be known for a lot of like fans and people, and even the players that get released. A lot of times it's not your fault.
Mm-hmm. Just circumstances. Yeah. So I want to have a little fun here toward the end. But have you ever seen those NFLPA report cards they put out now, where they like rank everything about it, like an organization? And they give, like,
I've seen bits of it. Yeah.
So I want to do. We'll do some rapid fire with you. I have the categories listed out here, what they do. So literally, I'm going to say a category, and you just give me your answer for who has the best one. So we'll keep it positive. So the first category they list is treatment of families. Which team had the best treatment of families?
Of the ones that I've been on, or just throughout the whole NFL?
The ones that you've been on.
Your experiences.
Experiences.
Probably San Fran. I think they did a great job with it.
Here's a good one. Food/cafeteria.
Ooh, Indy was close. Indy and San Fran's right there. The ones that I can really remember. But like Indy was a little bit of COVID stuff too. So San Fran's was good.
Another fun one the fans see a bunch of, the locker room. Who had the best locker room?
San Fran.
Newer facility compared to the other ones too, right? But yeah, that's good to know.
Will the same thing apply then with the training/weight room? Would that be San Fran too, or anything else come to mind?
It's kind of hard because I was at San Fran for so long.
So that's your memory?
Yeah. Where again, like Indy it was still kind of like COVID protocol, so they kind of had to move some of their stuff out and make more room in that area. But San Fran's facility is really nice. They did a great job with their weight room and stuff.
You would have traveled with a bunch of teams too, right?
Yes.
So team travel is another category.
Ooh. Ours was pretty good too. I mean, they kept it. They did a good job with us in San Fran.
Head coach is another category.
I had multiple of them. So
you had Andy Reid in Philadelphia, right? But Shanahan,
Sean Payton, right?
Harbaugh.
Yeah, Harbaugh. Of
I
course.
love Harbaugh. Yeah, I mean, all the San Fran coaches. Tom Sula, I had Chip Kelly, yeah. Kyle, Harbaugh.
I think that's it. There's
Tom Sula was quite the
Yeah.
character, wasn't he?
I had Norv Turner for a little bit. Norv Turner was a great coach.
I've heard,
Great,
yeah.
great. I mean, even though I was only there for like the 6 weeks, just to kind of finish out the season for their snapper.
Yeah.
And I think Norv was kind of being let go at the end of the year, and the guys loved him. It felt like a funeral.
Right on. Well, Kyle, this has been outstanding. It's been great getting to know you, and glad you're on board for this Grey Cup push. And yeah, hopefully the Niners get number 6.
Yeah, I'd be okay if we get a Grey Cup ring. I'm cool with them getting a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, Grey Cups first, obviously, but that's the priority. But hey, might as well have 2.
Yeah, it's a big year. Get your thoughts on 50 Cent quickly too. Big,
Oh, yeah,
big year,
50
big
Cent.
year, and makes it even bigger.
That's awesome. I didn't even know. Like that was awesome. I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, a lot of cool things in the
Concert
works too.
Kickoff.
So
Yep.
Yeah,
Pack BC plays for home opener. And
Yeah, I don't know if we've had that in the NFL. I don't think we've done.
there's
that.
chatter about that. Like
Yeah.
the BC Lions and Amar Doman's doing things that NFL teams don't even accomplish. Right? Which is
there's
makes
things
it
that
even,
you guys do up here that I think the NFL should do.
that's great praise.
Yeah.
We'll end it on that. It can't get
There you
any
go.
higher. Yeah.
End on a solid note. Hey, awesome. And we'll look forward to talking more, and we'll see you back in Vancouver. And yeah, let's roll.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle.
Kyle Nelson joining us on First and Now.
Canadian football's most prestigious event, the Grey Cup, returns to Vancouver this November, featuring a week-long fan festival of parties and activities for all ages.
Click fast. Tickets to the 111th Grey Cup are on sale June 4th at Ticketmaster.ca.
First and Now, a presentation of Tourism Kamloops. The trails are calling. Dust off your hiking boots and prep your bike. The trails are waking up. From the serene whispers of our sprawling grasslands to the exhilarating paths that weave through our sun-drenched hills, every step, pedal, and path promises an adventure that's uniquely yours. Tourism Kamloops, presenting sponsor of First and Now. Could have talked for hours with Kyle Nelson, and you admire that. All those years in San Francisco, many times he was in and out, New Orleans, Seattle, Philadelphia, Indianapolis, and that guy wants to win a Grey Cup.
We did talk to him for hours almost here. We had to tell him we have to do our outro. We were sitting
we
talking,
just kind of
rambling about different 49ers teams and everything about that. But he said this when we were sitting down with Kyle, but there really isn't levels to a CFL locker room in terms of like tiers of hierarchies or all of that. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's equal. They treat each other equally. And I think Kyle fits right into that mold. He's aware of that mold, and yeah, he's in for the culture. He's aware of FTC now too. He also discussed that.
FTC, baby. And I remember Jonathan Kongbo, of course, we were talking about. No ill will, solid guy, and hope he resurfaces somewhere. But they would have been teammates. Yeah, 2020 training camp. Kongbo, after his first stint in Winnipeg, went to San Francisco, and I think was a cut toward the end, and he ended up in Denver after that, of course, before working his way back up to Canada. So yeah, excellent conversation, and be sure to subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Subscribe to First and Now wherever you get your podcasts, of course, and hear some of our great training camp interviews. Had a great scouting discussion with Jim Yock last week. A couple weeks ago was Ryan Phillips and Jason Tucker, and 3 weeks, 3 podcasts, 1 per week, bringing you First and Now every week from here on in until the 110th Grey Cup. Now, usually do go for it or punt here, but we're in a spirited mood here. Everything's good. We're just gonna go for everything. So, give me a couple 50 Cent songs you're going for every time.
I don't want to use the standard ones, so the ones that we use in the video, because those are for sure going to get played and everyone knows them. But How We Do, it's a feature with
This Is How We Do.
I'm not going to sing it. I'm not a good singer or rapper.
I'll
That's
be
one
here.
I'm praying he does. There's also Hate It or Love It. That's kind of the same. Oh, like there's just so many to talk about. So those two I think are going to give me like literally goosebumps when I hear those live. But those two stand out to me that I'm really hoping for.
Yeah, I'll go. And I had Get Rich or Die Trying. I mentioned I did the credit card purchase of the CD. I don't think I have the CD anymore, but I've got it on my iTunes. So I had it pumping during my jog this morning. Yeah, joke all you want. Yes, I actually exercise. 21 Questions is one I love.
Great one.
And I'll give you one from a later album, Get Up.
Yeah.
That's
a hype song. We usually play them in our warm-ups.
Yeah. And the Canucks for a time, when the visiting team would score, it would come on. I don't know if that's the case anymore, so good little stadium anthem there.
The first 10 seconds of that song is very hype. I love the bass drop. There's also a song like Down on Me, which I learned actually this week that is the second biggest Billboard song ever.
Yes.
After Into Club. So that's with Jeremiah. That's another great song. So hopefully he does one of those verses. I imagine he will. In some of the footage that his team has shared with us, actually, there was a video clip of him performing that live. So I imagine that's a good sign. I'm really hoping for that song as well. But again, I want to stress this because I think it's one of maybe the coolest aspect of this whole concert kickoff is the length. So there's going to be plenty of time to hear all these great 50 Cent hits that he's had over the last, 2 decades?
Hard to believe. Yeah, 2003 is when he exploded on the scene. All right, I'll continue. Training camp meals, we get 3 a day. Shout out to Tyler Gammon and all the logistics that go into it. Thompson Rivers University is fantastic. Always get a good breakfast spread, little scrambled eggs, bacon,
smoothie bar,
smoothies, tater tots, hash browns, sausage. Tell you have to watch yourself. These meals are designed for football players, not guys like us who can't always use the extra calories. But as far as lunch and dinners, I really like the souvlaki.
Oh, you
the
stole
Greek
mine.
Food.
That's okay. I'm on the same page.
There you go. You take one now. I don't want to steal another one.
The Greek souvlaki. We'll explain it for the rest of our listeners what it actually is, because there's several plates to it, right, or dishes. Right?
Yeah. Souvlaki, rice, pita bread, tzatziki sauce.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Top of my head, I'm a sucker for the taco bar.
Oh yeah,
because you make your own. There's a burrito shell. There's the hard tacos, the soft tacos. So you have a lot. It's a lot of customization is involved. You kind of do it yourself, kind of make a meal. But there's the ground beef, the chicken, jalapenos, all everything you want for a taco. So I like that one too. The portions are really big. On that note too, you mentioned that they are football players, right? I'm going to expose somebody here. My plate of camp, so I mean biggest plate or favorite plate of training camp was, we get these kind of lunch meat sandwiches, and I usually do, it's kind of like a hamburger bun, and then you get all the roast beef and the ham and turkey. That's one of the meals that we get in rotation. And I usually do one big sandwich, load it all up kind of thing, put all the meats on, and then maybe a bit of side of the salad, because there's always a salad bar too. So I have my one sandwich and my little salad on my table, and then beside me comes over a plate or 2 plates that I'm seeing right beside my peripherals. There's 2 sandwiches completely loaded up, stacked to the top. Then there's another plate where it's just a full salad, layers of salad, and it was Christophe Beaulieu who just had the biggest plate I've seen, I think, at training camp. So shout out to Christophe, because he that's my plate of the camp, and I almost dropped my jaw when I saw it. It was so big. It was just cracking me up. As a DB, I thought it was going to be Marcus Moore or one of
Kent Perkins or someone.
But nope, Christophe Beaulieu with my plate of the camp.
Awesome. Shout out to everyone involved. And I think the final lunch on Wednesday's tortellini. That's a pretty good. I
believe it's Chinese night too. I'm hearing rumors. So
you won't see me there, I don't think, unfortunately. But
I like Chinese too. I feel that's a chalk pick, though, to be honest. At least for over here.
Too much sauce, too much salt. Got to stay away.
Come on, Gammon. He calls the shots.
He's back there cooking the yeah. All right. Thank you to everyone for joining us here. As always, these last 3 podcast weeks, very special being on the ground here in Kamloops. Hard to believe our time in the tournament capital has come to an end for this year. Lions and Elks Friday, concert kickoff June 15th. Get your tickets while the good ones are still hot. BCLions.com, $25 get-in price for adults, youth 17 and under for $15. Can't beat that. 50 Cent will be rocking the house. just overall 2.5 weeks from now, June the 15th, in downtown Vancouver. Props to Amar Doman for doing it again. All right, first and now, the official Lions podcast. We'll talk to you from Surrey next week. This time next week, we're preparing for the Argos, week 1. Gotta love it.
Can't wait.
All right, stay safe out there.